We have a 705-page high school econ textbook. I just want to take a look, okay? I just want to take a look, okay? We just have to, hold on. What is economics? Economic systems and decision-making, business organizations, demand, supply, price, and decision-making, market structures. Ooh, hold on. This one right here, market structures. This one right here, that's going to be one worth looking into, okay? Employment, labor, and wages, also. Source of government revenue, government spending, financial markets, macroeconomic performance, economic instability, businesses, macroeconomic equilibrium. Here, let's just look really, really quick, okay? Market structures. Give me that. Captain, take me to 168. Yeah, let's go. Let's go, buddy. You have to load. 158. Oh, we got close. Ooh. Yeah, market structures. Yeah! That's what I'm talking about. Content vocabulary. Laissez-faire. Market structure. Perfect competition. Imperfect competition. Monopolistic competition. Product differentiation. Non-price competition. Oligopoly. Collusion. Price fixing. Monopoly. And natural monopoly. Economies of scale. Geographic monopoly. Technological monopoly. And government monopoly. Laissez-faire, the French term that means allow them to do. Thank you. Oh, shit, guys. It's the supply-demand curve. Wow. Holy shit, no wonder I didn't do well in high school. I'm bored already. Oh my god. Jesus Christ, I'd rather read theory than this. It's so boring. Can't they find a better way to type this out? Here. Oh! Socialism, page 39. Okay, we're just going to take a look at this, okay? While textbooks neatly identify categories like traditional command and market economies, the real world is not so orderly. Most countries have mixed economies, systems that combine elements of all three types. When we consider political systems as well as economic systems, the picture gets even more complicated. For example, socialism is a mixed economic and political system in which the government owns and controls some but not all of the basic productive resources. In socialistic countries, the government also provides some of the basic needs of its people, such as education and healthcare. An extreme form of socialism is communism, a political and economic system where all property is collectively, not privately owned. In a communist system, labor is organized for the common advantage of the community, and everyone consumes according to their needs. In practice, however, communist governments have become so involved in economic decisions that they are often called command economies. Oh no. Capitalism, directed by the free market. Productive resources are privately owned and operated. Capital for production is obtained through the lure of profits in the market. Government may promote competition and provide public goods. Socialism. Basic productive resources are government owned and operated. The rest are privately owned and operated. Government plans ways to allocate resources in key industries. Government directs the competition of its economic plans and key structures. I actually kind of like this because it makes it look like socialism is the enlightened centrist position between two extremes. Like, yeah, dude, I'm an enlightened centrist, okay? I'm not on the communism or the capitalism, but I'm a socialist, you know? I like that. Directed by command, all productive resources are government owned and operated. Centralized planning directs all resources. Government makes all economic decisions. Stateless, classless society, by the way. BT dubs. Oh no. There are a wide range of mixed economies. China has a mixture of traditional command and market economies. Whereas tradition has a strong influence in rural areas, the government makes many of the major economic decisions and owns many of the factors of production. China is changing, however. In recent years, the government has allowed some private ownership of resources, and capitalism is beginning to flourish. In Norway, the government owns the basic petroleum industry. It uses the revenue from the sale of oil to other nations to keep its domestic gas prices low, finance education, maintain roads, and provide social welfare for its citizens. Because the government controls just one industry, the mixed economy is based on capitalism and markets with some elements of socialism. Cuba and North Korea today are very similar to the former Soviet Union, where a socialist government controlled resources to provide for all the people. However, the ownership and control of the resources were so extensive that many economists always thought of the country as a command economy. Wait, that's the second time that they've done that. Why do they keep up bringing up a command economy as though it's like the accidental outcome of a communist country, you know? Isn't that kind of the point? Or do they not adopt that terminology? Historically, both socialism and communism have proved to be less efficient than capitalism. Hey, there we go. For example, if workers receive government guarantees of jobs, more workers may be hired in a plant than are necessary, driving up production costs. Because socialism has proved to be so inefficient, many socialist countries today allow more capitalist development. This is especially true in China, where the emergence of capitalism has helped the country become one of the world's major economic powers. You know what sucks? You know what actually sucks, though? The problem is this could actually be super helpful if they just switched around some of the terminology, okay? So here's an interesting contradiction that's being presented right here, okay? They described Norway as an example of socialism, but Norway has one of the highest standards of living of any country on earth. But then they say Norway is, that socialism is less efficient? What? But they mention command economies. Norway doesn't have a command economy. So what's going on here? In reality, this sentence makes sense if you replace socialism and communism with command economies, because that's true. I'm sorry, we can be mad about it if we want. Command economies do not have a great economic history, okay? They just don't. I'm sorry. And there's never been a communist society. So if it said, historically, command economies have proven to be less efficient than market economies, that would be a technically accurate statement that I think could be the jumping off point for a lot of nuanced discourse. But by conflating socialism with government control and having socialism simultaneously represent inefficient command economies and also flourishing mixed market Scandinavian countries, this shit is the definition of propaganda right here, okay? Absolutely. This is how they do it. And by the way, you know who else does this? Tankies do. There are two groups of people who think that socialism is when the government has power and command economies work, okay? Well, no. Two groups of people who believe that socialism is when the government controls stuff, okay? The CIA and tankies. Those are the two groups. And only tankies are dumb enough to defend a command economies in 2021. I mean, Christ. We know how those turned out. Maybe it's because every single time a socialist country decides to start, they get cooed. That has nothing to do with what we're talking about right now. But this is what they do. Read the disadvantages section. Isn't that what we just looked at right here? The disadvantages section. What we just looked at. In some socialist countries, the availability of services may be limited or the quality may deteriorate over time. Today, for example, Cuba claims that it has free healthcare for everyone, but the care is substandard for everyone except high-ranking members of the Communist Party and those willing to pay for services in dollars. Hold on. I don't think... wait, hold on. I'm pretty sure this is completely fucking made up. What year was this published in? I'm pretty sure Cuba has an incredibly robust and equitable healthcare system. Like, massively so. So much so that they export highly trained doctors to other countries. Yeah, I'm guessing this came out in the 90s. Here, let me, hold on. Can we get a publishing date on this? I just want to know if it's from like 40 years ago. It mentions the year 2000. No, 2008! You kidding me? No. We can do a segment on it in the future. I'm not to say it's perfect or anything, but Cuba has a pretty good healthcare system. All right, there we go. Get me back to the, yeah. Page 62, yeah. Or page 41. They have the best lung cancer treatment survival rates in the world. Don't they smoke like crazy over there? Maybe it's just because they get so many shots at treating it, you know? Yeah. High-ranking members of the Communist Party. Well, what else do we got on socialism? Give me. Economic systems. We have traditional, command, market, and mixed. Systems like socialism and communism are less efficient than capitalism. Why the fuck is socialism and communism being put in the mixed category when mixed economies are factually more efficient than wholly market economies? But then the command economy describes the straw man that they bring up for socialism and communism. Look at this. Command economies. Government makes all major economic decisions. Private property severely limited, is inefficient, but then they put socialism and communism in here. What? This is incoherent. But it does serve the textbook's goal of making socialism and communism sound bad. Isn't the USA also called a mixed economy? Well, everything is a mixed economy to some extent, but like Scandinavian countries, are highly efficient and more mixed than ours. Oh, God. For almost half a century, the U.S. government has tried to isolate Cuba economically in an effort to undermine the communist regime of Fidel Castro and deprive it of its resources. Since 1960, Americans have been barred from trading with, investing in, or traveling to Cuba. As a foreign policy tool, the embargo actually enhances Castro's standing by giving him a handy excuse for the failures of his homegrown Caribbean socialism. Dude, this section is called a half century of failure. Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, you know, we just postured against Cuba, tried to kill their leader 500 times, and also embargoed them, making them one of the most embargoed and sanctioned countries basically in the history of the world. But actually that benefits them because then all their natural socialist failures, they can scapegoat them on the embargo. If the embargo were lifted, the Cuban people would be a bit less deprived, and Castro would have no one else to blame for the shortage and stagnation that will persist without real market reforms. What the fuck are we talking about, dude? Oh, yeah. You're lucky that I just shot you in the leg, bro. Because if it weren't for that, then you would have nothing to blame your slow running speed on. Honestly, I did you a favor by shooting you in the leg, because this, frankly, this gives you a scapegoat. I mean, otherwise you'd have to stand, as if you can do that, on your own merits, and like, that wouldn't have happened. Jesus. In the past, many Latin American countries followed a path of economic development that combined socialism and isolationism. Chile, however, took major steps to foster the growth of capitalism when it privatized airlines, telephone services, and utilities. Do we want to talk at all about the privatization of Chile? Anything else interesting happen there? Any other, you know, some historical precedent, perhaps? We kidding me right now? Oh, God. I want to make sure I get my dates right here. You're really going to talk. You're really going to talk about Chilean privatization without Pinochet? The Pinochet government implemented an economic model that had three main objectives: economic liberalization, privatization of state-owned industry, stabilization of inflation. God almighty. Well, you know, Vosh, more balanced book. Well, we're not looking at the balance right now. Balance isn't exactly what we're looking for at the moment. You know, okay, we'll wrap it up. Okay, we'll wrap it up. We're having fun over here. Okay. Argentina has similarly embarked on a program to remove government from the everyday business of running the economy. The government has sold state-owned oil fields, petrochemical plants, and a number of other businesses to private companies. Man, we aren't getting anything from this, isn't it? It's just like these countries were languishing in socialism, but then somehow they started privatizing, and we could go into this for hours. The nations of Eastern Europe, especially those that were unwilling members of the former Soviet bloc. Okay, hold on. So you'll point out the fact that imperialism played a role in the formation of the Warsaw Pact, but you won't mention anything that led to the privatization of Chile. Oh, wait. No. Hold on, okay? If we want to ignore political precedent and all the implicit coercion that went behind these governments' economies, you don't get to do that. You don't get to ignore Pinochet and then go like, yes, the tyrannical Soviet Union swallowed these countries into its embrace. Jesus. The struggle for freedom began in Poland. Independent illegal labor union listed Solidarity was influential in securing a number of political freedoms. In Poland, eventually the Communist Party lost power and interest in capitalism grew. God. Japan, South Korea, Singapore, Taiwan. Do we have Vietnam in here? That would be kind of prescient. Hey! How you doing, man? What's up? Karl Marx was an economic historian and social scientist who earned his degree at the University of Berlin. Because of his radical views, however, he could not get a teaching position in Germany and eventually moved to the United Kingdom. Really don't like the way this is phrased. Makes it sound like he couldn't hack it as a teacher, when in reality he was like a persistent political target because he was an activist. I mean, the radical views didn't help him, but like the implication here kind of makes it sound like he couldn't cut it. Marx was best known for the Communist Manifesto and Das Kapital. In these works, Marx correctly asserted that the history of all hitherto existing society is the history of class struggle, based, and in each era, one class was pitted against another. And this is, we believed. Marx argued labor was exploited in a capitalist society, and capitalists unfairly kept surplus value. Yep. All right, where's the negative bit? Where are we getting to it? During the transition from capitalism to communism, Marx thought that the proletariat would first have to depend on a strong government, a dictatorship of the proletariat. Dictatorship of the proletariat doesn't... Oh, God. Dictatorship of the proletariat doesn't mean strong government. That's not what that means. The dictatorship of the proletariat just means a worker state, a workers' state. A country which is owned and operated by the working class. It doesn't actually mean a dictatorship, okay? The ideas of Marx served as the basis for communist revolutions in the world in the early to mid-1900s. Since then, most communist governments have collapsed, and today only a few communist countries remain. There were never any... Marx's ideas were so radical during his time, he was persecuted by authorities. In 1849, he fled to London, where he later led a life of exile and died in poverty. Still, Marx was named the greatest philosopher of all time in a BBC poll in 2005. What is this phrasing? Yeah, he fled and died in poverty, but in spite of that, Marx was named the greatest philosopher. Dude, can you editorialize any harder? In spite of his, being poor, he was still, I guess some people like him. I don't know. Yeah, thanks, BBC. Throwing it out there. Oh, God, help me. Oh, God. Coping with the future. This chapter's for you guys. Decision-making in the margin, the success of markets and prices, the triumph of capitalism. Oh, God. Since then, communism in the former Soviet Union collapsed under the weight of its own inefficiencies. Many socialist countries have embraced capitalism and the discipline of the market system. Oh, God. Oh no. The capitalism of the 1930s was ruthlessly efficient in providing only for those who produced or earned enough to buy the necessities of life. Early capitalism had little room or consideration for the elderly, the ill, or the incapacitated. Most capitalist economies today, including the US, have modified their systems to make them more compatible with the prevailing norms of what is right and wrong. The result is a free market economy based on capitalism, yet modified to satisfy the economic goals of freedom, efficiency, equity, security, full employment, price stability, and economic growth. This was published in 2008, by the way, right at the fucking housing crisis. God almighty. End of history, baby. Capitalism used to be pretty bad, but now we've edited it, and now it is perfectly in accordance with all of this shit. In spite of the fact that America lags behind other comparable countries in a fuck ton of, social democratic ways. Look at this. Capitalism has evolved over the years, and it shows every sign of continuing to do so in the future. In this respect, capitalism adjusts to changes in the same way a market adjusts to small changes in supply and demand, incrementally. God help me, dude. This is unironic end of history bullshit. So the collapse of socialism and the failure of its inefficiencies led to them all peacefully transitioning to capitalism, which is now being done perfectly because it perfectly accommodates all the moral well-being of the... This was in 2008. We had the housing crisis, where the internal inefficiencies of capitalism led to a global economic fucking meltdown. What do you want? Look, okay, we're done. We have to be done with this, right? We have to be done with this right now, okay? Look, listen. I have nothing against economic textbooks talking about the history of capitalism and the history of, like, the Soviet bloc. And if they're being honest, any historical recollection of those activities is going to make the Soviet bloc look pretty bad because, and this is a fact, we beat them, America beat them. But the way this is editorialized, with all of the moralization going on, framing capitalism as like the end of history, the triumphant final state of the world economy, and socialism is just this command economy, pathetic, flaw-ridden, obsolete misstep in global economic development. It's pretty ridiculous. I'm sure there are plenty of parts of this textbook that are a little bit more factually driven, but there's pretty obviously like a bias there. Yeah. So that's pretty cringe. I'm cringing over here.